Welcome to the Sacred Stream radio podcast. I'm Laura Chandler, and my guest today is Neo-Vedic astrologer and author of the Candid Guide to Neo-Vedic Astrology, Hogarth Brown. Welcome, Hogarth.
Hello, Laura, and thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be back, and I'm still actually getting used to that
Yeah,
introduction. I should be used to it. I've written a few books, but just when you hear someone else say, it, it's like, oh, yes, I am an author.
yeah, yeah, and you are. And it's a great book. We're going to get into the book.
Thank
We
you.
have so much to talk about. I want to just show the book, though, because it's such a beautiful cover, and you did illustrations, and it's a fantastic book. But before we get to the book, I was on your show the night before the Democratic debate, which
Mm.
caused a stir. And now you're on my show the day after Joe Biden steps down and turns the reins or the potential candidacy over to Kamala Harris. Now, in between there, we had an assassination attempt. So things are not normal. Things are very intense. And boy, I want to talk to you about what's going on. You've been on the show before. We've talked about the Pluto return of the United States, which is part of what's going on here. You
Mhm.
predicted, in Vedic astrology, we've talked about as quite a predictive form of astrology, and it's you predicted the insurrection of January 6th.
Mhm.
You also predicted that Joe Biden would step down, and we're going to talk about that. And let's start with the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Algol, this planet, this horrible, horrible,
Wow.
scary planet.
Um,
Yeah. Talk to me.
all right. So first of all, just to give the overall context, Uh, and truly, we are in historic times for the whole globe, but America in particular, because you guys are having your first Pluto return. Now a return is essentially just when a planet returns back kind of astronomically to the place where it was in the original birth chart. So, for example, in America's chart, the one I use and many astrologers use is 1776, July 4th. Yeah. July 4th, 1776, 6:30 p.m. is often the one used. So Pluto was at kind of 6 degrees and 46 minutes, I think, something like that, of sidereal Capricorn. Yeah. Now, it takes Pluto about 248 years to go all the way around the sun. So, of course, now we're in the year 2024. America is now 248 years old, soon to be 250 years old in 2026, if my math is correct. So you guys have literally, so from February, it was early February, this is when the Pluto return officially began, but the energy had already started. So when a planet returns, it means a review and a revise and a reassess. Just it's kind of like a retrograde in a way, but a return means everything that planet symbolizes in the chart has to be looked at again, reassessed, reevaluated. The old themes of what was going on at that time return; they come back. Now, as you can imagine, the Pluto return is relatively rare. Very few of us get to live through it in our lifetime because, as yet, human beings, we do not live for 250 years. We do well to reach, 84, 85, 86, anything above that. Anything above the Uranus return, which takes 84 years, that is a bonus. Yeah. So we have the circumstances which we as humanity can actually witness a Pluto return in our lifetimes, and it's happening to America. Capricorn is all about it. It's all about government, politics, infrastructure, top-down systems. It deals a lot with oligarchy. Yeah. It deals a lot with big business, even big pharma, stuff like that. Any like big institutions, influential institution, all branches of government and infrastructure. And Pluto is what? The god of the underworld. He is like the decomposer. He breaks everything down. So all of the, essentially the ugly of the world, in the deep, deep id and subconscious of humanity comes up for review. Kind of like how we were discussing where you were talking about with the transformational hypnotherapies, etc., and ancestral trauma, etc., all of this stuff. Pluto represents all those things. On the positive, he represents the alchemy, the magic, turning lead into gold. But with Pluto, you always have to face that dark night of the soul energy. You have to face what you most fear. And look what's been coming up since that time. We've been seeing what? Pluto in Capricorn can deal a lot with fascism. Things move more to the right because Capricorn is a conservative sign. It belongs to Saturn. Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius. Transiting Saturn is currently in sidereal Aquarius right now, and that is brewing civil unrest and people thirsting for change, because Aquarius deals with the proletariat, everyone from poor to rich all the way through, but it deals with groups, organizations, people, deals a lot with students, politics as well. So do you see Capricorn going sidereal, Pluto going through sidereal Capricorn is highlighting the issues with government, issues around corruption, but also as well big money and the influence of financial institutions and donors. Aren't we seeing that? Yeah, all coming up. So America is going through a huge tectonic transformational process because the motto of Pluto, it's transform or die. Yeah. So it's about the phoenix rising from the ashes. So this is why it feels everything is coming apart at the seams at once, not only in the world, but for America in particular. But it's also a time of alchemy, transformation. So within the chaos, there's also opportunities. There are opportunities to rebirth, to heal, revise, revisit, but it all depends on what the collective of America chooses. So very big deal.
Wow. Fascinating. Really fascinating. And on top of that, we have all of these other aspects happening, right?
Oh, yeah,
With
you
your,
asked me about Algol. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
and I want to get to Algol because that freaks me out. But Mars and Uranus are kind of busy conjuncting. Are they conjuncting in Algol? Is that what's happening? And they hit both President Biden and former President Trump's charts, if I've been following you correctly.
Yeah.
And so there's some really interesting things that have occurred as a result of that
Yeah.
you might want to tell us
I'll
about.
explain. So Algol is a star. So so there, of course, there's all sorts of stars in the heavens, which we know. And you've probably heard of the term, oh, that person was born under a lucky star. That's actually true. There is truth. There are lucky and unlucky stars and some that are in between. And it really is the case. Now, there's all sorts of stars. I mean, one of the lucky stars is Aldebaran, yeah, which sits in sidereal Taurus, yeah. And then you've got Regulus, and the royal fixed royal stars. They tend to be kind of fortunate, but they do come with big burdens. Anyway, So in the night sky, at around about 1 degree 30 minutes or so of sidereal Taurus sits the star called Algol, Algol. This star is famous, or shall I say infamous. It's been known for thousands of years, and this is known as the star of treachery, betrayal, backstabbings, beheadings, being deposed from power, because it's like a derivative of I think the Arabic word Algol, which means demonic. So it's known as the demon star. It really is a very, very difficult star, and it's considered one of the most difficult. Another one that's difficult is Sheet. But Algol is particularly is known as one of the most difficult ones. So what we have is a situation where planet Uranus, the planet of sudden shocks and surprises, moved onto this star. Now, in Western tropical astrology, of course, they are 24 degrees ahead of the true placements of the star. So they have Uranus at around about 24 degrees of Taurus. So it still conjuncts the star in Western, but the astronomical degree is around about 1 degree. So Uranus moved onto this star around about the 1st of June, 2024. We can see that energy has been building since. But what is significant, though, is that Mars came in. Now, Mars is known as the trigger. What does Mars deal with? Mars deals with war, conflict, firearms, acts of aggression, anger, rage, passion. He also deals with sport and strategy and stuff like that. But he's not an easy planet. He's known as a malefic. He's a cruel planet. So imagine what happens when you get Mars, planet of firearms and, aggression, coming together with Uranus, the planet of sudden shocks and surprises. And when they're both on the star Algol, which deals with decapitations, beheadings, deposing from power, betrayals, and backstabbing. Yeah, it's Medusa's head, the Gorgon. So you can see now for Duck L'Orange, for Trump, for those who I refer to Trump as Duck L'Orange, for Duck L'Orange, this happened in his 10th house, 10th. And the 10th house deals with our career. It deals with how we show up in the world. It is literally our public face. The 10th house deals with the public, the audience. I often refer to it as the house of pressure as well. Donald Trump, in his chart, he has got in his 10th house, he's got Uranus, he's got Rahu, and he's got the sun. Yeah. Now, the sun actually deals with our vitality, our health, and the kingdom that we're building this lifetime. Because he's nearly 80, he's having his Uranus return. Uranus comes completely back at the age of 84 because that's how long he takes to go around the sun. Trump is 78, so he's in that window where it's coming back. For Biden, it's even closer because he's 81. So you can imagine transiting Uranus is back with natal Uranus. The sun is the kingdom and the career. He's also got Rahu there, which is an eclipse, and Rahu deals with extremes and unusual things. And then Mars is crossing over it, and Uranus is crossing all over it at the same time. So what happened? There was an assassination attempt on Trump's life, because Trump is actually in a phase in his life. He's in his Jupiter Dasha. What does that mean? Imagine if we use the analogies of cars, vehicles. And when you're in a dasher of a certain planet, it's like your soul has been put into the back seat of that planet's car. I've actually got in the book, actually, it's in one of my illustrations, it's there. Now, the Jupiter Dasher lasts for 16 years. Now, it's actually quite a lucky Dasha. Like Jupiter is considered a lucky planet. Yeah, a lucky planet. Now, Trump's Jupiter Dasha began just just around the elections in November 2016. Isn't that interesting? Who would have thought Hillary was going to win? Yeah. But he's got Uranus in the 10th house of career, sudden shocks and surprises. It shocked a lot of people. Now, it didn't shock me because I was actually predicting, but this was before I was on YouTube. I was saying to everyone, I was saying, I'm sorry, Trump's going to win. And the UK is also going to vote for Brexit. People looked at me like I was insane. I said, it's going to happen. Anyway, it did. So, but you see, his Jupiter Dasha has also brought him a lot of luck. However, we don't just stay with Jupiter driving the car. What happens is, along the journey, along those 16 years, the drivers will change. Depending on the driver, it will change the energy of the Dasha. Now, I was saying to people back in November 2021, November 2021, when everyone was saying Trump's going to go to prison, I said, guys, sorry to be the party pooper, but I said he's not going to start facing true accountability until October 2023. Yeah, everyone was like, no, you're talking rubbish. How dare you? No, everyone's saying he's going to go to prison. I said, look, guys, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just looking at the energy. Now, why did things get more difficult for Trump in October 2023? Because the driver of the car changed. Trump is now in Jupiter Ketu. So his soul is in the backseat of the car, but Ketu is driving. Ketu I referred to as Snip Snip. He is the body of the dragon without the head. So Ketu is headless. Headless. Ketu deals with losses, particularly financial losses. And isn't it interesting? He started to go into a lot of financial losses, didn't he, around that time? His friends started to betray him, etc. All of these things happened. He had that massive fine, but of course, because of the cronies in the judiciary, because planet Jupiter deals with the judiciary, yeah? He's had luck from the judiciary, and look at the Supreme Court. But look, Ketu also deals with, so this is from the Candid Guide to Neo-Vedic Astrology, and I'm just going to read you up here, you guys, what Ketu can represent, how it can show up as people or situations. So this is from page 277, and this is when I go into the characteristics of what Ketu can show up as. So among others, I'll put here, it can do with otherworldliness. It also refers to the fortress and sticking to the known. So Ketu can mean to get as well. It can also deal with bacteria, viruses, microbes, and pandemics. Yeah. The nodes cause pandemics, by the way. So here's the positive qualities of Ketu. So if Trump were a more spiritual man or spiritual person, you can get the benefits. So it deals with mathematics, deep research of all kinds, revelations, insights. It deals with geeks and the gifted, but modest as well. Quantum physics and all types of science, seeing through Maya, which is illusion, intuition and spirituality, and enlightenment. So when someone's got a good Ketu, they can have those virtues. But look how they can turn up in the shadow. The shadow of Ketu is weirdos, mental health issues, social awkwardness, homelessness, fanatics and lunatics, extreme fear of germs and microbes, arsonists and shooters. Yeah. And then I put in people who plot dark things in their basements. Yeah. There it is. People who plot dark things in their basements, conspirators, mutinous, excessive scrutiny, cult members, dropouts, drink and drug addicts to the point of oblivion, headlessness, or abandons all responsibility in life, and excessive scrutiny and obsession with minute details. Now, doesn't that sound like a certain someone who
Mm,
pulled a trigger to
yep.
get rid of Doug Larange? So what are your thoughts on that now I've read that out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fascinating. And one of the things I love about astrology, and particularly Vedic astrology, is it's a lens through which to perceive what is happening. It's yet another way of perceiving things and interpreting things and understanding things. And it's quite, it's an intelligent um, methodology. It's a science.
Yes.
And
What do you?
what I really, love about your book is, and I'm just gonna give people like, again, the book is
Thank you.
The Candid Guide to Neo-Vedic Astrology. And it is packed with information, and you can really, thumb through and find yourself in the book. You can understand yourself, you can understand your loved ones, you can also you give so much information here, Hogarth. And
Mm.
back to what you were describing in Ketu, I mean, how uncanny.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this book's been out for a while that I mean, not a while, but a few months, several
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
more
Long
than
before the incident. Yeah.
very much so. And here it is, here it is in black and white that you've put it there. And you've also been talking about this, this in previous videos prior to the incident. Um, I want to ask you, since we're on the subject of K2,
Mm.
um, I have a friend who's going into her case K2, is it Dasha, the K2
Dasha.
Dasha,
Right. Meet you, Dasha. Mm-hmm.
and she's nervous about it. And she thinks, "Oh, it's all about loss and giving things up and all of this." And this is someone who's very spiritual, has a very strong spiritual practice, does really good work in the world. And I said, "I think we need to do a session with Hogarth, but I think too that your K2 period could actually be something positive." And so I'm just gonna pop that question to you, like what your
Oh,
take is on.
thank you. That's a great question. So the nodes of the moon in general, in terms of the chart, they're the hardest parts to master
Mm,
because they deal with our fate and destiny. So Rahu, to explain, is the head of the dragon without the body. So Rahu can deal with obsession and wanting something a lot. That's why I call him gobble gobble. Yeah.
mm,
So the
mhm,
shadow of Rahu, people can get lost. Like Rahu loves fame, food, drink, drugs, all of them naughty, or everything naughty. Rahu loves. He loves shortcuts. This is why he deals with charlatans and scandals and all of this stuff. And this is why he also deals a lot with politics. Yeah, look at the egos in politics. But what Rahu does on the positive, he will always bring us something exotic, new. The challenge of Rahu is that we have to be prepared to go out of our comfort zone. And I call it the Indiana Jones moment, where we have to take our little machete and we need to go out into the jungle. Rahu represents the jungle, the unknown. And even though it can be frightening and he can represent poisons and charlatans and all of this stuff, he can also represent incredible opportunities, wealth, luxuries, fame, all of those things, but also where you can truly discover your potential. So there's that. Now, the K2 energy is very different. K2 is an introverted energy. K2 is the moksha kaka, which means liberation from this world. Rahu adores the world, adores all of its trappings, all of Maya. Ketu's like, not interested. Yeah. Ketu energy has been there, done that. It's like going through the gift shop. The symbol for Ketu is a flag, which means conquered land. Ketu deals with our past and our past lives, the land that we've already conquered in some kind of way. So the Ketu area of life, we can be like, meh, been there, done that. Or it can represent things in our childhood we weren't able to avoid. So what does it mean when we're in a Ketu Dasha? It all depends on the spiritual development of the person. If a person is too attached to, their egoic life, their status, how much possessions they have, I mean, and I'm not saying it's bad to have those things. It can be very good to have those things. But if it's become their entire identity, if they've completely identified with all of the material things that they have in their egoic structures and they're thinking that they're doing absolutely everything, then what Ketu does, snip, snip, he can often separate a person from those things. And we've seen this separation that Daklaranje is going through. Yeah, he was almost what? Given moksha. He was almost killed. Yeah. The other form of moksha is leaving this earth. Ketu can deal with like dying in that sense. But when a person has already developed themselves spiritually and they've already learned a lot of lessons about the essence of what it means to be a human being, the Ketu Dasha can be very profound. A person's spiritual insights can really deepen and go to the next level. But Ketu does deal with dissatisfaction. So sometimes that person might just be like, they might become renunciate. They may renounce the world. So your friend, for example, might be feeling like, oh, you know what? I just want to be a monk or a priestess or a priest or whatever. I just want to be on the top of the mountain. I'm sick and tired of the world and these people and politics and everything going on. Ketu can be like, I'm done with it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she might be feeling a combination of those things. She could be feeling those things just like, you know what? I'm really tired of the world. I'm really tired of people. I'm really tired of politics. I'm tired of the drama. Yeah, Ketu doesn't like drama. So as your friend's Ketu Dasha comes closer, she's going to be feeling these things more and more. And the irony of the Dasha is, even though it's very spiritual, it can sometimes, a person can feel that their senses might be deadened in some way. They might feel flat about life. The things that usually gave them pleasure may not give them as much pleasure anymore. And this is what takes them on the journey, because Ketu is also known as the gypsy, meant to travel. So what I would recommend for your friend, and particularly she came to me for a reading, I'd recommend that she go on some sort of spiritual pilgrimage. Maybe something like, I don't know what her religion is, or she may not have any religion. She may be spiritual, but something like walking the Camino, for example, which is doing the big walk from France down to Spain, going on any kind of pilgrimage. If she's Muslim, then going on the Hajj. She's Catholic, going to the Vatican. But pilgrimage, journeying, and detachment, it doesn't always have to mean loss, but I hope that gives a good overview.
So helpful because she's not the only one I know who worries about Ketu. So I think for any of my listeners who are familiar with Vedic astrology and don't what I'm hearing from you, Hogarth, is don't be afraid of Ketu, and that it may be bringing some spiritual richness to your
Oh,
life.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's great.
Very.
That's really helpful. Well, there's something that's also stuck out to me that maybe you'd want to talk about. It's a little bit of a step aside from Ketu to Saturn, and it
Oh,
just struck me that you said Saturn is the guru of gurus in the book. You mentioned this, and I was wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for these great questions. It's such a pleasure because I'm so ready to answer this stuff. And yeah, why do I call Saturn guru of gurus? So Jupiter, so if we think of planet Jupiter, who's known as the Great Benefic, the Sanskrit name for Jupiter is guru. So it's where we actually essentially get the name guru from. It's like a Sanskrit word from what I understand. So of course it means great teacher, learned person, etc., all of these things. Now, why do I call Saturn guru of gurus? The reason why I call Saturn guru of gurus is because Saturn is the reality check. He is the planet of strife, yeah, challenges, hard work, graft, career. He also deals with grace and backbone, but he's also the planet of fear. He's also the planet of survival. Wherever Saturn is in the chart, we have to work hard. Wherever he was when we were born and whichever house he's transiting through will always require more work, more focus. But Saturn is also the ancient planet of harvest. He is a planet of reward, but only after efforts. Saturn will give his rewards in proportion to the effort that a person has put in. And the efforts or the fruits of our efforts do not necessarily come when we would want them to. They come when Saturn says, now it is time. So this is really, really interesting because what is Saturn is real life. Saturn is the reality check. And everyone knows, of course, Mercury retrograde. Yeah. Oh gosh, it's Mercury retrograde. Make sure you look up keys in your emails. We've all been there. Yeah. Mercury goes retrograde about 3 times a year, around about 2 to 3 weeks each time. Saturn, all the planets go retrograde at some stage. It takes Venus only goes retrograde once every 2 years or something like that. But Saturn goes retrograde every year. And at this stage in his phase, he goes retrograde in the early summer all the way up until November. So whenever a planet goes retrograde, whatever it represents, the retrograde means review, revise, reassess. So, of course, Saturn is the planet of what? Government, yeah? Infrastructure, rules, regulations. Saturn also deals with older people, yeah? He's the grandfather, grandmother planet, or he's the crone, for women. And I think that's a word women should claim back for themselves. They really should, particularly with the second Saturn return. It's so powerful. And actually, that's very relevant for Kamala Harris as well. If we talk about her as well, she's just had a second Saturn return, by the way. Yeah. So she's now coming really in, she's at the time in her life when women really genuinely start to come into their fullest power. So Saturn deals with the career, our legacies, our standing in the world, the things that will endure with time. But he teaches us harsh lessons. Now, when it came to the debate, because we did, like you said, our last collaboration just before the debate. Now, in my show, I think was 2 weeks previous to that, on one of my Hogarth shows, people asked me, how would the debate go? Yeah, well, they asked us. And then I saw the cards that I got. Now, from my card, now I knew what was going to happen, but look, we know what's transpired since, but we can imagine as we know, there was a lot of affection out there for Biden and stuff like that. People holding very close to his heart. So I wasn't able to be as explicit as I would have liked to have been in that prediction. But what I said, because I saw the cards that he got, I can't remember all of them, but one of them were the 7 of Cups, 4 of Swords, and the Hermit. And I said, one of the candidates in the show is going to come across very confused. It's not going to go the way that people expect. I said one of the candidates is going to be wounded in battle and may have to leave the battlefield, because that's what the Four of Swords is. It shows a person in a mausoleum. Yeah, it means to be wounded in battle or even forcibly retired. That's what it can mean. It can mean retirement. And then the Hermit card was there as well, which is about what? Review, reflection, isolation, having to figure things out, having to retreat from the world. So when I saw those cards, I looked at it and I knew exactly what it meant. I was like, Biden's going to have a howler and it could possibly end his career. But imagine if I'd said that at the time. Imagine if I said, hey, folks, all over. Yeah. People, I mean, already people react very strongly to my predictions. However, I made a prediction back on the 6th of November, 2023, where I looked at Biden's chart and Trump's chart, and I've just looked at it again. And even though it's me making the prediction and it's not been put to the public, I'm going to actually publish this video maybe a couple of days from now. In there, I read the charts of Biden and Trump. Everything I said that has come true, has transpired, except, of course, Trump has had some luck with the judiciary, which has saved him from a lot of it. But the reading I did for Biden was uncanny. It is exactly came true. All of it, what I read in his chart and from his cards. So I'll put that up for people. But that's what Saturn does.
Yeah.
Trump planet, and he's in a Saturn Dasha as well. Trump's in Jupiter. Biden is in Saturn. So I knew this was very, very hard for him.
Yeah. Yeah. When does he come out of that? Is he going to get a break soon? Just I don't know if you recall, you don't have the chart right there, but sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
No, you're not putting me on the spot. I already know the answer.
okay. Do you want to share?
Yes, I'll share it because look, it's transpired now and my prediction came true. And one of the reasons why I held back on it was because of the extraordinary sensitivity in the febrile political situation in America. If I'd been absolutely explicit at the time, back in November, you can imagine the reaction that would have produced in people, because people have given me a lot of criticism stick already for being accurate. A lot of praise as well, but a lot of people can't handle it, yeah, because Saturn is the planet of truth, harsh realities, yeah, harsh realities. Sorry, I lost my train of thought slightly there. What was it? And we were talking, how long will Biden be in it? Now, this situation is not really a recoverable situation. Yeah, why? Jupiter is a lucky planet. This is why Duck Larange is still alive. Because of Jupiter. At that time when he was being shot at, Jupiter was on the star Aldebaran, which is a famous star of protection. This is also in Taurus, but it's at 16 degrees. So Algol is at 1 degree, yeah? Jupiter went into sidereal Taurus on the 1st of May, and he moves faster than Uranus. So he was on that star while it was happening. Given Trump what? Protection, because Trump is in Jupiter's Dasha. So he's got protection also as well from what? The judiciary. Biden is in a Saturn Dasha. This is not a lucky Dasha. In fact, it's actually one of the hardest a person can have. The only one I would say that's more difficult potentially than the Saturn Dasha is the Rahu one, yeah? Because the Rahu Dasha is crazy. And guess what? America entered its Rahu Dasha, yeah, at the end of 2015. No, around about November. No, I think it was November, December. It could even been, it was either November, December 2015 or early 2016. Look what has transpired since.
Wow.
Yeah?
How long does that last? How long does that last, Hogarth?
All right. The Rahu, the Rahu Dasha is 18 years.
Okay.
18 years. The Jupiter Dasha is 16 years. Now, is Trump going to be around for 16 years? No, I don't think so. But it's, remember, he's not had it all his own way. The Saturn Dasha is 19 years. It's the second longest. Biden began his Saturn Dasha about 18 months ago. This is when a lot of people were starting to, the pressure was starting to build, yes. And it's the planet of pressure. It's also the planet of critique. And Dasha is famous for not giving you the rewards for the effort that you put in. You only get in the last 2 years. And I know it because I've lived through this Dasha. It was one of my most difficult ones. That's why I put in the book. I said, if you survived your Saturn Dasha, congratulations. Yeah. Because it's not easy. They say the main blessing of the Dasha is to get it young. I was lucky in the sense I had my Saturn Dasha when I was 22. But it was very, very difficult. But I wouldn't be the person I am today without it. So you can imagine Biden is now 81. He started his Dasha 18 months ago. Yeah. So it's not easy. And look what's happened. Look what's transpired since. So he just has to make do with the best of it, focus on his legacy, do the best that he can for the Democrats, which he's already doing. And what the Democrats have to do is unite. There can be no more fighting, no more squabbling. It must stop, or they won't make it.
Yeah. Now, you brought up something interesting about Kamala being in her Saturn return, and now she is taking the lead potentially. We can't say that for sure, but it looks like it. How is her chart looking for the foreseeable future?
Good question. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out another video that I did even longer ago looking at Kamala Harris's chart. And I pulled cards for her and I said, look, her career is going to change. It's going to take an upswing. Yeah. And at the time I said, look, guys, I know we don't want to entertain it, but if her career takes an upswing, it means that obviously Biden is going to have to be out of the way, essentially, And I was saying, I hope something doesn't happen to him, but either way, he's going to have to be to one side for her to ascend. So quite a few astrologers have looked at her chart and are saying that it's getting stronger. Now, I did see this for Kamala. So she's going to have a career change. She's going to have a step up. Now, the thing is, I've not seen her chart in so long, I can't really remember it. So I'll probably have to do a specialist video on it. However, Saturn is not all bad. So remember, he is the planet of harvest. He will give rewards for hard work done, but not always when we necessarily expect it to happen. So with Kamala's second Saturn return, let's say she is in the window of opportunity to reap the harvest of all of her past years of work. So if she becomes the nominee, I know she's the nominee, but if she's confirmed, shall we say, if she's confirmed, then those rewards that she gets are not just from her last 4 years of being vice president. It would be from the last 28 years of work that she's done. Yeah, because that was the last time, because we get our first Saturn return around about 28, 29. She's now 59. Yeah, so she's almost 60. So she's starting to have her second return. Saturn return. Saturn deals with what? Career, government. She's now going into what I refer to as her wise woman phase. And that's why I say women need to claim back the word, the crone, because when the crone phase comes, and if the chart is good, it can be a time where a woman can reach an incredible level of wisdom and power in her life. But if she uses this energy well, Saturn could, we have to see what happens, could make her the president of the United States, because Saturn deals with what? Pressure, duties, responsibilities. He often rewards people with more responsibilities. That's part of Saturn's reward. And everyone thinks, more responsibilities, who wants that? Well, actually, the more responsibilities we have, it's normally because we're a more prominent person in the world. Yeah. It can also deal with respect, elevation, maturity, statesmanship, backbone. But it also means it's not going to be easy. I don't think she's going to have it all her own way either. There will be critique because Saturn is the planet of critique. What I would recommend for her, which I think she's already doing, rather than it being just a plain coronation, it would be good for her if it is like a baptism of fire. It would be good for her to show everyone what she can do. And then that means that MP can't say, well, she was just planted there. Do you know what I mean? It's a chance for her to show her steel, her backbone, her resolve. But because this is also a Pluto return and Saturn is currently retrograde at the moment, so it means review, revise, reassess. Do you see? Duc Laurent just had to review and revise and reassess because someone tried to kill him. Biden and the Democrats had to review, revise, reassess because of the debate. Guess what happened? On the debate, Saturn was standing still. And the day after the debate, he went retrograde, review, revise, reassess. So when I got those cards, I knew it wasn't going to be good for him. But Saturn, Kamala, if she plays her cards right, Saturn could give her the ultimate prize, but it's not going to be easy. She has to face down Duc Orange, assuming she even gets it, because you never know. Someone else may come up. Because Uranus is what? Planet of sudden shocks and surprises. The unexpected. One of the predictions I made, and I can't remember which video it's in, and I said it could be the case that neither Biden nor Trump ends up being the president of the United States. So that's at least come half true. And in fact, you could say it did because Trump nearly died.
Right, right. Wow. Yeah. Well, we're in this strange time, and it sounds like Uranus is going to keep playing its tricks and giving us its surprises.
Yeah.
Do you have a set? And I mean, I imagine all summer long, all the way up to the election. Do you have a sense, or you probably know, how long this phase is going on, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, this is extraordinary. You can't make this stuff up. So Uranus spends, like I said, 7 years in one sign, approximately 7 years. Takes 84 years to return. And you'll notice this is actually when a lot of us leave Earth school around 82, 83, 84 is a classic time to go. Very often, many people exit stage left on their first Uranus return. It's a major off ramp. It's just an opportunity for the soul to go, I'm done. Yeah. So if we cast our minds back to 2016, Uranus was in a Gandanta point, and a Gandanta point is the last 2 degrees of a water sign and the first 2 degrees of fire. So it happens Cancer to Leo, Scorpio to Sagittarius, Pisces to Aries. The Gandanta point is known as a point of drowning, of confusion. It's very discombobulated and strange. And the planet can act out when it's there. Guess what? Uranus was in the Gandanta point between Pisces and Aries. Now remember, Aries is about impulse, leaping before you look, and maybe not necessarily thinking things through. Uranus was right on that Gandanta point when the UK voted to leave the EU. And it was soon after, when he went into Aries, that's when Trump came into power as well. Yeah, sudden shocks and surprises. So going back to Algol, where is Uranus in the sky right now? Right now, Uranus is around about 2 degrees of sidereal Taurus. Now, in Western astrology, because I do Western as well, we describe something which is an orb. An orb is how near or far something is from something else. When it comes to these fixed stars, an orb of 3 degrees or less is considered very, very powerful. So that means anyone who's got a planet that is 4 degrees of sidereal Taurus, that is still considered conjunct the star Algol because the width is 4. Yeah. But if you count backwards from that 1 degree, that means 29, 28, 27 degrees of Aries is still conjunct Algol. At the moment, Uranus is going direct. Yeah. Or I'll do it this way because, it's backwards. The Uranus is going direct. But guess what? He's going to stop and stand still and start going backwards. Uranus is going to stop around about 3 degrees of sidereal Taurus, still conjunct the star Algol. And guess what? It's going to retrograde back over the star, which is what? Betrayals, beheadings, or losing one's head, or Algol, or backstabbings, or being deposed from power. He's going to go back over it. Guess when he's exactly conjunct that star? November 5th. Yes, November 5th and 6th is when Uranus, the planet of sudden shocks and surprises, will be exactly on the star Algol. So this means anything could happen, guys. Anything could happen. Strap yourselves in. I know, and I know, and the thing is, Uranus isn't a comfortable planet, but as you know, I say to people, the reason why I'm here on planet Earth is that I'm here to teach and educate about this and just share the truth of it so that we can be prepared. And when I say anything could happen, I mean, look what's happened already. Anything can happen. So Uranus will retrograde and will go out of sidereal Taurus and go back into sidereal Aries for like a few months. So he'll go back into Aries, and Aries is what? The sign of war, discord, conflict. Also deals with sport and stuff like that, but we're talking politics here. So November, let's say, I think December, January, he goes back into Aries, retrograde, stands still again, and then starts to go direct. And I think in summer of next year's, I think it's May, June 2025, he'll go back into sidereal Taurus, cross the star again. So Algol gets 3 hits from you. 3. Yeah. And then it will then progress. And then 7 years later, or there or thereabouts, it will move into Gemini. So this energy that we're in is going to last for months. All of the election and going into early 2025 as well. So all bets are off. So I know that's not necessarily the most comforting, but let's look at the world. Doesn't it make sense, eh?
Yeah, really, really fascinating, Hogarth. Thank you for sharing all of that. I know we have eclipses coming up, and that's a whole other thing. That'll be happening pretty close to the election as well, right?
Yeah. there'll be, yeah, the eclipses are, I think they're happening in October, aren't they? So, you know,
You know,
it's like, oh my goodness.
gasoline on the fire, as it were. Um, well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to have you back, of course, and maybe and keep talking about all of this. Um, I also want to mention your channel, Hogarth's Global Astrology, which I'll have links to. But Hogarth does some wonderful videos. He does some wonderful collaborations. They are, he's talking about all of, current events, different, he goes into different people. Are you going to read on JD Vance? I know you did some reading on him, but are you going to do his chart?
Yeah.
Have you done?
Do you know what? And I'm so glad you asked me. What I'm going to need to do, I think what my next deep dive astrological video needs to be, of course, I need to look at Kamala Harris's chart and I need to look at JD Vance's chart. And one thing I would tell you this, and I was saying this on a show the other day, Dr. Orange is in a lot of danger. He is still in a lot of danger. And it may transpire. This is one of the things what I would thinking just in terms of closing. That JD Vance is a plant. He is a bit of a Trojan horse in a way. I think Duck Larange knows it because think about it. Is Trump really going to pick a younger, more intelligent, and more articulate running mate than himself? Like, really? No. We know how vain. We know how vain he is. He's like, this, I'm going to pick this intellectual who wrote this best-selling book called The Hillbilly Elegy and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, he's going to make me look really good. No, of course not. Trump didn't pick him. He was selected by the donors. From what I understand, J.D. Vance is the protege of something Thiel. I forget his first name. Who's this? Peter Thiel. Yeah. So he is the protege of Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, from what I understand, is also one of the major architects of Project 2025. Now, it's everyone now knows as well, since J.D. Vance has been selected, or the condition was, if he gets selected as vice president, then of course Elon Musk, people are now referred to him as the Melon. This is his little nickname, apparently. He is now going to be providing the GOP with $45 million per month. So basically, Vance has been helicoptered in. Now, this is what I think is the issue. In Trump's chart, it's not just that he's dealing with the Ketu Dasha, and it ends in September for him, and he goes into his Jupiter Venus. Now, I said the Venus could potentially bring him a get out of jail free card as well. And that's already happened with Eileen Cannon. And that was a prediction I made before, but I don't want to get off topic. His Venus sits in the 12th house. Now, the 12th house does deal with endings. It's the land of far, far away. It can also deal with exile. It can also deal with hospitals and prisons. Yeah. Now, what's interesting, but it also deals with hidden enemies. And I'm already seeing the energy of this come in. Of course, the shooter was a hidden enemy. But Venus is the planet of relationships. In a man's chart, it can represent the wife. But it's not just the wife. And I don't just think this is, and it can represent daughters as well. So I don't think this is really Ivanka or Melania, although they may be factors. But when he goes into his Jupiter Venus Dasha, which I think is the 29th of September 2024, so it's not long, about a month from now, what will happen is that Venus is going to activate, and the planets it's with. Venus sits between Pluto and Saturn in Trump's chart, and this is a very malefic combination. 12th house also deals with foreign lands and foreign governments as well. Saturn is in there dealing with foreign governments. We know he's sold secrets, of course, abroad. Pluto deals with corruption as the god of the underworld. But what it means is there is a high chance that Dr. Range could be betrayed by a partner. Venus is the planet of partnership. This could also talk about J.D. Vance. So he has to watch out. Yeah. You never know. Could end up found at the bottom of the stairs somewhere or something in the tea. Anyway, I'll leave it there.
Oh, what a fun, it's always fun to speak with you and have you on the show. And I want to encourage everyone to buy the book, The Candid Guide to Neo-Vedic Astrology. It's a fun read. It's a really informative read. You'll need to get your chart, your Vedic chart, and and you mentioned there's some free places you can do that. Or you can go and get a session with Hogarth and he'll give you your chart. And yeah, don't forget to go to his channel and like, subscribe, give some comments, give some love over there, and do it here as well. Like, subscribe, give us some comments. And Hogarth, we're going to have you back.
Thank you. It'll be a pleasure.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. Thanks so much for having me. And it's always a pleasure talking with you. And you ask such good questions, really
Oh,
intelligent, thoughtful questions. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
oh, thank you, Hogarth. And we will see you again soon.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye bye for now.